That's Dwight. Dwight, was it last week or the week before that you did the Jay-Z as the intro?
Last week.
Yeah, I was all in. I got very excited.
I didn't know what else to put.
Well, you're never gonna make me upset about that, so I appreciate that. Apologize for whatever song was playing that I interrupted by just straight up asking a Jay-Z question right in the beginning. But anytime Dwight, the great producer, puts in Jay-Z, I'm here for it. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
New year, same me, I guess.
Same you.
Dwight? Super bittersweet show all around, huh? Not really. It's just mainly bitter for both of us, I would say. Because I think as much as we like to see the other team's misery, there's no question that we do.
Very much so.
It means much more to us to win or lose anyways. It really, like, you know, the Cowboys winning or losing. Yeah, okay, whatever. Glad they lost. But at the end of the day, if the Eagles would have won, I wouldn't have really cared either way what the Cowboys did it, because that was the most important thing. And I know you feel the same way. Vice versa.
Yep.
We'll get into our games.
Yep.
We apologize. We brought some energy last week. I felt like that was a great show. One of my favorite things of our show, and this is going to be just like some real-time breakdown. Not that this is probably good listening, but I felt like I had one of the better segments that I've ever had with that college football rant, okay, in the beginning of the show. And you absolutely brought it to a halt by straight up being like, yeah, you keep telling me it was a good game, but, and then you just broke down how there's no way that score could be a good game. And it was just, I think it was just a perfect example and dynamic of our show. I hope all of our shows turn out that good listening wise. That was, like I said, to me, one of I felt like better, things that I ever did when it was just like me individually honing in on something. So felt good to listen back to because I didn't feel that good about it when I did it. Anyways.
Fair enough.
Point being, that's what I love about the show, though. You throw Jay-Z there in the beginning. You throw me back off my high horse when I'm riding it. That's what I like about the show.
That's what I'm here for. Somebody has to reel you back.
Yeah, I like it, though.
Somebody has to. Fun. That's what I'm here for. Mr. Negative person right here.
I don't think you're negative. We are both, I think, on the side of realistic, and I would say I am more on the positive side of realistic, and you're on the negative side of realistic if we had to do the yin and yang here.
That's cool.
The good and bad cop, but...
That's cool. I'll be the bad cop.
Again, real-time breakdown of the show going on there.
Go ahead. I was going to say something, I decided against it. Go ahead.
Hey. We don't have to go there.
No, I'm good.
Just remember, Blaine Gabbert started a meaningful game this year in Week 17, and Colin Kaepernick still does not have a job. Speaking of good and bad cops.
Parkey still has a job.
Oh. Yeah, because if they cut him, they would lose like $2.6 million to the cap, and you don't want to do that to a kicker that's not on your roster. Even if you have a kicker that's on your roster, that isn't that good.
Why does he still have a job?
Because you lose $2.3 million, and they don't want to eat that on a kicker that is not theirs.
So what?
They just don't.
So what?
That's a lot of money for...
It's garbage.
I don't disagree, but in their mind... Okay, so I look at it this way. Maybe, just maybe, they do end up eating it, and they bring somebody in the offseason, but they're going to give him an opportunity in training camp, because in their minds, because of the contract, they have to do themselves the due diligence of seeing him one more time. Even if it is just a 6-week period in practice, that's not going to convince them that he won't maybe be on a short leash, that by week 3 he's cut if he has a horrible first 2 weeks. But I think he's there for training. Speaking of this week's games, Dwight.
Yeah.
The Indianapolis Colts were a super hot team going into Arrowhead.
About that.
Kansas City came out and absolutely rolled them. No rust.
Nothing.
The week off didn't look like it affected Kansas City other than positively.
Andrew Luck, though.
Yeah, didn't play his best game. Had a great season. But that one, just the gas has finally run out on the Colts. That defense as well played super great over the last probably 10 weeks of the regular season, and then I think they played pretty good there last week against the Houston Texans in their first game. But
that's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
the Chiefs didn't care about any of that. They just decided to tell the Colts that they're not as good.
And they're not.
I agree.
They're not. They didn't belong in that
and
spot.
I picked Kansas City. I did feel like Andy Reid coming off with a week, the bye week. He's always really good. Playoffs and regular season. So I felt like that. I felt like they had a good opportunity because of that. I felt like Kansas City's better, offensive higher. If they got into a shootout, they had more firepower, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And as good as I thought the Colts have been playing, the defense and Andrew Luck and all that, I thought Kansas City was going to do it right.
Yeah.
But that was,
that was pathetic.
That was I thought it would be closer than it was, at least a little bit.
Shit.
No, it was Kansas City. In credit to Kansas City, they came out and dominated. Like, that was one of their better games all season, and it happened to come in the divisional round. That's pretty awesome for them. Their defense played well. I mean, that's something you don't say a lot about Kansas City this season. It happened a couple times, but to that extent, on that stage, kudos to them. Against a good offense, but again, Indianapolis also has been playing like with firehouse money since like week 6. You know what I'm saying? Like at one point,
they weren't that good.
Right. Well, even if they were that good, at one point to win, what was it, like almost, it was 10 straight, I think 11 if you include the, okay, my point being is like, to get there, they were beat up to get to this point. So then your reward is to go to the best team in the AFC, maybe in the entire NFL. Oh, congratulations. You know what I mean? Like, you just started this fire, and it took a very long time, and you finally got flame, and your reward was the hurricane, and you did great. Like, you got the fire going really well. It's just the hurricane was there, and you knew it was coming. But
I never bought into the Colts, so I was just like, well, that's about what I expected out of them, which is nothing. But that was I don't know. That's the crazy thing, is that it was literally like, I didn't see the game. I saw like the tail end of it because I was at work.
Right.
But I'm looking at the score, and I watched, I don't know, like a quarter of the last quarter of it, quarter and a half, and I was just like, this is just like, they know this is like you lose and you go home, right? They know this is
when it was like 14-0 early. Like it was almost like the Patriots game 14-0 early, right? It was almost that quick, and when I saw it, I was like, all right, there's two things that could happen here. Can Andrew Luck, he can play, so I thought he could turn around here, get them in it. You got to keep him close, but it just felt like as the rest of the first half went on, you knew there was no shot. No matter what happened, they could score a touchdown. Kansas City was going to score another touchdown right after that if they had. So like it seemed like Kansas City had more weapons in their armory. And at the end of the day, you were just never going to be able to get to them, especially after that early 2-touchdown lead. It just felt like that was the gap, the rest of it. They were always going to be 14 points away at minimum. Yeah. And you're just not, I was excited going into the weekend about this matchup because I like both quarterbacks a lot. Do you think this is going to be a matchup that we see for a long time in the AFC?
No.
Do you think the Colts will fade away?
AFC. What division is this? AFC, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Colts aren't, we'll see.
I think these two teams are definitely going to be playing in the playoffs for a long time. Maybe
I
not.
don't know about all that. We'll see.
The way New England, Pittsburgh have been staples in the playoffs.
No. Colts aren't. No. Colts aren't as good as you want them to be just because you love Andrew Luck.
Every year he's played 12-plus games, his team has made the playoffs.
Great.
Including this year.
Great.
I don't know. There's just, at some point when you're 100%, there's really no stat that can say otherwise. He's 100% Dwight at making the playoffs.
Great.
You think next year's the year? The drop-off finally happens? He's not that good finally?
The Colts are just not that good.
I'm not saying win the Super Bowl. I'm saying get to the playoffs. He continuously does that.
Okay, well, good for him. And they just so happen to go on a 10-game win streak. Mazel. That's what's up. That's not going to happen every single year.
No, they're also not going to start off 1-5 every single year.
Okay. Well, you asked me, do I think this is going to be a thing?
New
no.
coach, quarterback coming off an torn ACL.
Okay.
They're not starting 1-5 next year.
The answer was no.
You don't think they make playoffs next year?
I didn't say that. I said I don't think they're going to be competing like you just said. They're going to be going back and forth for years to come. No, no.
Do you think Kansas City will be continuously in the AFC playoffs?
I don't know. Can we wait and see how Patrick Mahomes does? We have this conversation with me about like shit with this all the time. I'm not. They did it once. Oh man, this is gonna be forever now. Like,
well, the Colts didn't do it once. The Colts
see.
are pretty consistent under Andrew Luck. That's why I brought that up.
Okay, well, okay.
Colts are actually more than they're 100% under Andrew Luck. They're more than consistent.
Okay, so
that's the norm.
Okay, so why should I believe the Chiefs are going to be anything other than what they just so happen to be right now?
Because no matter, it seems like who's a quarterback, Alex Smith or Patrick Mahomes, they've gotten better under Patrick Mahomes. But when Alex Smith was there, they were 13-3 last year, or 14-2. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay. And the defense got worse this year.
Yeah, for sure.
So, whatever.
I do think that both these teams will be.
That doesn't mean
they're going to be dominant
for the next 5 years. That's not what that means.
I think they both have quarterbacks that are top level, like elite quarterbacks.
Okay.
Both MVP caliber quarterbacks. And I think they both have rosters that have been put together pretty well overall by their GMs. I mean, that defense in Indianapolis was sneaky good this year. Nobody expected them to be that good. Their defense was a lot better than we expected. I think they get a little better on offense, but Ebron ended up being a really good tight end for them that nobody wanted. And they got Marlon Mack, the running back. I never even heard of him in college. He ends up being a stud this year. So.
Look, teams fall off every single year in the NFL, so.
And the biggest thing with both teams is their lines, their offense and defensive lines. If you have good offense and defensive lines, good quarterbacks, I always feel like you do have a chance.
Teams fall off every single year, dude.
Right, and that's what's been impressive about the Chiefs and the Colts over the last probably 10 years. Since Andy Reid has been there, in his 8 years, the Chiefs have made the playoffs 6 times. And since Andrew Luck's been there, like I said, he's 100% when playing 12 games or more in a season and making the playoffs. So,
okay, and it could all fall apart tomorrow. Whatever, we gonna see.
And somehow, with those stats I just said, that felt like it was the beginning to me. You know what I mean? Like that's why I was asking that, because even after all those things that we know about both teams to this point, I felt like this was the beginning only because Patrick Mahomes is the newcomer. But like I felt like
everybody wants to annoy him too.
And Andrew Luck coming off the ACL, doing what he did this year, where it was like, who knows what's gonna happen, and he ends up being as better than I thought he was going to be.
Okay. And what did he do against the Chiefs?
One game. I mean, that's fine. If we want to break it down into one game, that's...
I mean, did you show up?
No, I don't think he played all that well, to be honest with you. I thought that he was out there, and in like the first 3 or 4 drives, he didn't do anything wrong necessarily, but when they were down 14, 21, 17. He just started trying to do things because they were down so much. You know what I mean? And that he started to play a bad game because of it. But I'm pretty sure at one point he had like 18 completions or 17 completions in a row. Like he did put in a decent performance at one point. It's just it didn't accumulate to catching them. Like even if it accumulated to points, it never accumulated to catching them, because like I said, when they were down 14 early, that was the margin it felt like it was going to be at minimum going forward. If not, it was going to get to 28, and eventually, got pretty high up there at one point. But no, I don't feel like that was Andrew Luck's best performance of the season by any measure.
That's all I care about.
I do feel like Kansas City's run game was a lot better than I expected them to be, which is what we were kind of blaming on the AFC maybe not being interesting because Kansas City might have ruined that. But if they do that, which the Colts defense has stopped a lot of good rushing games, and I will just point to the Cowboys, not because you're a Cowboys fan, because of how good the Cowboys rushing offense is. They didn't stop them, but they held them pretty well that game that they played each other. So to be able to do that against the Colts defense the way Kansas City did with 3rd and 4th string running backs at this point, because your first guy is gone for all the reasons we know about. Your second guy tore his ACL the first week. He had an opportunity to be the starter. So now you have just literally 3rd and 4th stringers running. And they they got it done for them. That was unexpected. If they can continue to do that, it'll be interesting against New England. Do you think Kansas City at home had because everybody talks about the home advantage and all the home teams won this week, right? But that's the first time that happened in the playoffs in 14 years. Indianapolis has played well on the road all year. Do you think Kansas City does have one of those big home field advantages like Seattle? Dallas had a pretty big home field advantage this year, I would say. Philadelphia, New England, always really good at home. Kansas City is one of those places. Do you think that might have had played into it too? Because, we talk about all these things that Indianapolis did well up until this point, and here we are. Not that Kansas City isn't a better roster. Kansas City probably
1,000%.
Yeah.
I don't think home or on the road it would have
Rookie
mattered.
head coach
Kansas City was going to smack Indianapolis regardless of where it was played.
Rookie head coach for Indianapolis. That's another thing. Going up against Andy Reid, that has to that is something. Anything else? The first game.
Nope.
I wanted to say something else about it. I forget what I was going to say. I don't know. I'll end it on a good note, though. It's the last time we're going to see Chris Collinsworth this year.
That's a beautiful note.
Yeah, I feel that makes you happy.
Glorious.
I can still remember the Hall of Fame game. You turning to me and asking, why does that man still have a job?
I asked that question every single
We made it through another season.
Ugh. Can't stand it.
A lot of muting on Sunday nights.
You ain't wrong. I toned that man out.
Oh my gosh.
Terrible.
Dallas, LA, Saturday night.
Yep. Now that we know where we belong. Actually, every single team that lost can now say that they now know where they're supposed to be at. All you wild card teams, you know where you belong. Right where you were. Every single one of y'all got showed up.
Don't get me wrong, I picked all the home teams this week.
Every single one of them got put back in their place.
See, I don't necessarily feel... I feel like... I don't know, I felt like Dallas held in there a little bit, showed that they can kind of hang, and there's an opportunity for them to just fill out the roster a little bit.
They ain't hang shit. Are we talking about that game, or are you talking about moving forward? What are you talking about?
Just all together. You're talking about this game are you saying, because I don't disagree with you that the 4 best teams in the NFL all season are the 4 best teams left right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying that, I don't disagree with you that all the teams that lost are...
They got put back in their place.
But I just wouldn't...
What did it prove? What did this weekend prove?
I felt like the NFC games were, a lot closer.
Oh, still, did you watch the same Rams-Cowboys game I watched? That game, there was nothing close about that.
I thought that...
What game did you watch? You watched
2019
Dallas versus Rams? This ain't an old game you pulled up on YouTube?
The first half, it's one play the other way. It's one defensive stop that they never got.
We were getting dominated.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't that close. Don't let that score.
Dominated.
Stop letting the score dictate how.
But if they that's my point. Is that while they're getting dominated, they were one stop away.
Okay.
Just in the set, I'm taking. Let me just hone it into a 15-minute span of this football game in the second quarter. One stop in that 15-minute stand, just one, changes the entire narrative. Okay. The entire narrative.
Right.
We're not talking about dominant then. Even if they make one stop and the rest of the game looks the same as it did, we don't even say the words dominant. But that's my point.
That's the fuck we do. We were dominated.
But no, the thing is that Dallas would have been within 3 points and maybe even won the football game if they made one stop in the second quarter.
Well, good for this. I don't care what the score was or what the point difference was.
So if you get
we were dominated.
Right. Okay. And I don't disagree with that. But I'm saying if you get dominated and you were literally one stop away from being in the NFC Championship, two stops away from making that whole thing. I don't think they're as far. I don't think the gap is as big as you're making it out to see. That game they got dominated, but like they didn't get smacked back in the place. They didn't get punched in the jaw.
That's the hell we did. That's the hell we did.
I
think
if you're one of the final 8 teams, like there's a level of belonging that just is.
Stop it. These wild card teams. There's a reason why they're wild card teams. There's a reason why the teams that are the home teams and get a bye are in their position because they are that much better than the other teams in the playoffs. That's why they're in the position. And that's why all these games were pretty pathetic.
Kansas City was 3 games better than Indy this year. Indy went on a 10-game win streak. Dallas had 10 wins this year.
And who dominated in Kansas City in the Colts game?
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but what I'm telling you is the gap is not that, like, yes, maybe in a 1-game sample the gap might have looked that far.
That's all that matters. What you mean?
And it's not putting them back in their place. So none of these franchises got like set into some kind of like they're not children. You know what I mean? Like what happened?
Why are you going so extreme?
Well, you're saying they got set back in their place. Look,
they get put back in the place. They're wild card teams that are not as good as what they probably thought they were.
I don't think any of these teams thought that they were better than the teams they played. I think
they all thought they were.
I think that they all thought that they had a chance. Well, okay, as athletes they might have. I'll give you that. I think that all 4 road teams that did lose. I think all 4 road teams that did lose on any given Sunday could have beaten any of those teams that they played.
That's very American of you. Point being is they didn't because they're not as good as the teams that they lost to. Because that's just plain and simple. They're not. Dallas got smacked in the mouth. They ran 2 running backs. The other guy I never even heard of. Well, I lied. What was it, C.J. Anderson or whatever the hell? 2 running backs over 100 yards. We couldn't stop the run. Zeke Elliott could not do anything. They forced on Dak Prescott, who is not this Aaron Rodgers guy we keep trying to make him out to be. We kept trying to rely on Zeke. They stopped that. They put us back in our place.
In my difference,
our defense. Look, our defense was supposed to be what was supposed to hold this thing together, and it didn't.
And I think the only difference between the Rams and the Cowboys
is a lot.
Well, I think the biggest difference was just coaching. I don't think that's what I'm, but that's it though. Like I don't necessarily think. That's what I'm saying. If the adjustments, it's not even a player. I think would be the adjustment. I literally think it is coaching. The reports I read. Okay, have you heard this yet? That Jared Goff literally was looking up on the jumbotron and he was looking at whatever stance the Cowboys. The offensive lineman wearing. So if they had their right or left hand down, he knew which position they were going to. And if they had 3 fingers in the dirt, hand in the dirt, or a fist in the dirt, he knew what they were going to do.
That's the amount of detail I just don't need to know.
Okay, that's how you run for over 200 yards on it. Okay, but that's how you run for over 200 yards on a defense that hasn't given over 120 yards ever. That is coaching.
Okay.
That is flat out coaching.
So, our coaches got put in place. However you want to paint this picture, point being is that they're a better team. And they whooped our ass, man. It wasn't close. It wasn't close. We were doing nothing offensively. Well, it's on coaching. That's fine.
I think it was all they got out schemed. I don't think it was necessarily that the Rams had, because I do think the Rams have talent. I think the Rams are one of the better rosters in the NFL, and I do think they are better than the Cowboys. But I don't think the gap is some kind of ridiculous, crazy thing. I think the gap between the coaches
Rams have a hell of a lot more talent than the Dallas.
I think they have more talent, but I don't think the gap is beyond. See, I don't think it's that crazy difference, man. I don't.
Okay, well, you can believe that. Well, what I'm saying is that it is, and
I think the Cowboys have just as good, if not a better, offensive line.
Okay.
The biggest gap would be the secondary, and people would argue the quarterback, but I don't think Dak's that far away from Goff.
He's a hell of a lot far off from Goff. He's nowhere near the passer that Goff is.
I don't think you necessarily just, if you're talking skill set, sure, that's where you can go, one thing. But Dak Prescott's not in the NFL based on his skill set. Dak Prescott's based on in the NFL more because of what he has in his head between the years, because of what he does before plays, because of his pre-snap reads.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Jared Goff is still a much better quarterback than he is.
Like I said, and that's fine. You could have people have that argument, and I'm okay with that. I don't think the gap's that much bigger, but I do think that Jared Goff is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott for sure.
Okay, are we done talking about these gaps now? Because I'm tired of it. We got dominated.
Do you think they should have ran Dak more?
I think Dak should have ran more. he had many opportunities where he could have just ran for the first down and didn't do it. That's on him. What was he doing? There was at least 2 opportunities that I can think of off the top of my head. That he was clear for the 8 yards.
Yeah, I thought he would have got at least 6 to 8 yards on both of those carries that you're talking about.
That's on him.
When he does get out there, sometimes it doesn't look good, but sometimes it looks like pretty good, really good actually. Mm-hmm. The Zeke thing, it baffles me, but with the way that I know how good the offense was coached for the Cowboys defense, I can only imagine how good the defense was coached for the Cowboys offense. You know what I mean? Like
I have no idea what you just said. What?
So like the Rams offense, knowing down to the detail of the way that the defense alignment for the Cowboys stance were, that's how they knew the play, like that kind of detail. I'm sure the Rams defense had some kind of tell as well for the Cowboys offense then. You don't hold Zeke to that number without that's impressive.
Having a much better defensive base, having offensive play calling.
Their defensive lines, we talk about their defensive line all the time as being one of the top 3 defensive lines by far out there in LA.
Yep.
And that they put themselves to work. I mean, they challenged themselves to stop him, and they stopped Zeke, and that's what you have to do, obviously, to beat the Cowboys. I will say that. What was it? Jared Goff this year has seen, Gurley has seen 8 men in the box 24% of the time, and Jared Goff has seen 7 DBs 70% of the time this season, while Dak Prescott's only seen 7 DBs 7% of the time, and Zeke's seen 8 men in the box 80% of the time or something like that. But that's a credit to how good the offensive line in Zeke is, as well as just a ridiculous stat to your Goff and Dak argument. So then what do you do?
Fire Scott Linehan. He's got to go. He has to go. Dwight Garfield should not be able to predict what you're going to do. I'm not you. I play Madden, and that's exactly what I can do when I'm watching the Dallas Cowboys. I should know every single first down you're going to run it with Zeke. Because if I know it, damn sure bet they know it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't, halfback screen to Zeke on one play, gain 3 yards. Then the very next play, wide receiver screen, lose 2. That back-to-back plays, mind you. Back-to-back screen plays. Watching our offense operate and watching the Patriots, watching the Rams even in that game, you see how they do different formations. They got different they
motion.
It's great. It looks good. You confuse people. We are the most basic offense. And it looks pathetic, especially when you're facing a team like the Rams that can do what they do.
I don't know the exact number, but I'm sure there is an exact number, and I would assume it has to be somewhere between 5 and 3.5 yards, right? Because I think Zeke averaged 4.4 yards this year. So I would think somewhere at least 1.5 yards under that would be the number, right? But if he doesn't average at least 3 point so many yards in a game, their offense, their play calling, it just goes to crap. I mean, it gets beyond ridiculously bad predictable when they need to not go to Zeke, when they get to the point where they just have to pass to stay in a game, because clearly teams want you to try to pass with Dak Prescott in their mind. But that goes back to the side of when Dak has those lanes to run. If he would have ran a little more in those games, that brings those defenders up a little bit. It's going to give him some room in the zones. And he does play well when he has some pockets in those zones.
The Rams did what they were supposed to do. Take out what we rely on and force Dak Prescott, who's not a great quarterback, to be a great quarterback.
But to what you were saying, the Cowboys kind of took themselves out of it sometimes.
Look, Jason Garrett said coming out of half, he said, we need to rely on Zeke more. I was like, you know what, I don't even disagree with that. See, if he breaks one off, we'll see what happens. It just never happened, and then we had to rely on Dak, and he is not that guy.
But the thing about it is, it's not necessarily relying on the player, it's how you rely on them. If you just give it to them, as you said, on first down every time, that's not relying on him, it's just hoping that, we're going to try something, they know it's coming, but hopefully it works anyways. Do some element of surprise.
That's how they win.
Do some draws. do some, like, not just one screen and never go back to it. Do a couple screens over the course of 3
screens. That's as creative as it gets. Screen passes.
Yeah.
It's like playing an 8-year-old in
That's
Madden.
not
You
the
know what
only
they're going to
thing
do
they
every
do, yeah,
single. It's
that's
like
not
playing
the-
Jarrett in Madden. You know he's going to throw a screen every single time. Are you going to stop it? Yes or no? Like that's how we operate. That's as creative as we get offensively. It's a screen pass. Something I can do. It's retarded. It's ridiculous. Scott Linehan is in a gots-to-go situation. He sucks. He's ancient. His offensive play calling is ancient. He's in a gots-to-go situation.
Like, well, they do. Like I said, I don't see a lot of formations and stuff like that going on with them. Or, I mean,
No.
shifts, all that kind of stuff. Like
They do nothing. They do nothing.
Sending people in
Occasionally,
motion.
yeah. I mean, you see that here and there, a little bit.
But the
That will
Rams set
switch up-
somebody in motion almost every play.
Right. You don't even have to. I'm saying, like, look, you don't even have to go to their extreme, but like to be
No,
as basic
no.
and elementary as we have and
Right.
were and expose ourselves in this game, it's pathetic. When it works, cool. When somebody's not, when you're facing some
But
bum
again,
team, it's
you
going to
can't
work.
just
When you
rely
face when you face the Giants, it's going to work because they suck. When you face the Rams, who are
Your
one
play
of the top
calling has
teams,
to get a little,
it's not going to work.
I guess, surprising is the best
Right,
word for
sure.
it. When your offense isn't running the ball that particularly well. So early in the second quarter, when they've seen that, all right, we're not getting it done here with Zeke, then get a little more creative how you get him the ball, or how if you're going to continue to hand him the ball off the way you are, do it sometimes on second down instead of first down every time. Do it sometimes.
Sometimes we will. Oh yeah, sometimes we were running at 3 straight downs.
But not run it 3 straight downs. I mean, pass on first down and then run it.
We all know.
Well, I know that. They never pass on first down. I know that. That's a very rare idea.
We don't do that. No, we don't do that. No, it's first down. You better run that. Up the middle too. At that, don't do anything. Don't toss. Don't toss. Dude, no draws. No toss. No reverse. No. If it's a reverse, it's because Zeke cut back the other way. It's pathetic, man. Scott Linehan's got to go. Jason Garrett's next in line. On top of that, they got to go. They need to go. They need to go. We don't need. They don't like to have another decade of being mediocre and just
Do you think
all
Jerry
right.
Jones feels the same way?
Yes. And I felt that in the beginning, and sometime in the middle of the year when I was like, I don't know if he's going to keep Jason Garrett if we don't make the playoffs. We made the playoffs, but now how we went out, I don't know. Something needs to give, and he has not indicated that he's going one way or another, despite these dumb reports that keep happening.
Look, I don't
know where he's going. One of those two need to go.
Dwight.
Preferably Scott Linehan first, honestly. Yeah.
What was one of the first things I ever said about when the Eagles drafted Carson Wentz? Do you remember us having this long conversation?
No.
You got it. Sometimes you have to do extreme things to get extremely good. Like the Eagles did something extreme to get Carson Wentz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly not just Carson Wentz because the franchise itself paid off, but in general, it seems like a move that has paid off by they did something extreme and it, knock on wood, has worked out to this point. Even though you made the playoffs, it would sound extreme to fire a coach that got you to the playoffs after a 3-5 start and even won a playoff game. It would sound extreme not to you, but to a lot of people would be like, how could you do that to him?
Easily.
No, but to me, you got to do extreme things to get extremely good.
They both gotta go.
I mean, I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah,
at all.
That's.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm hoping that Jerry
Look,
offers
I
them all extensions because I'm, an Eagles fan. But clearly, you're absolutely right on
Look,
this.
I
There is
mean,
no.
I think we got put back in our place basically, but I mean that, like I said, I really, and actually all last week, and even talking to all these nut ass Eagles fans that always like to get in my face, a lot of them that I have, most of them, and they're okay, well, like all of them basically were like, yeah, I think y'all do actually have a shot in this game. And it surprised me. People legitimately thought we had a shot in this game. Even Eagles fans were talking
Like I
that.
said, I just got done telling you I don't think the gap talent-wise is as big as everyone is saying. I think that was coaching.
Regardless of what it is, guess what? There's a gap in something, and that's why we...
Yeah, that was coaching.
Okay, well, it's a gap.
They got a wide receiver that I have seen at 2 different levels, high level of the NCAA
They got
and
one
high
wide
level...
receiver, yeah.
Oh, that's what I meant. But at 2 different levels, at high level of the NCAA, at high level of the NFL, dominate. They got a quarterback that...
Dominate in Oakland.
He has dominated at times
Glad you clarified that.
in Dallas, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he has had a rip.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, but I mean the talent level that I'm seeing. This is my point. I'm saying the raw talent that I'm seeing. We know that Dak, maybe if the talent isn't there, he gets it done in every way he can between the ears. As I always try to say with him, Zeke. I mean, we already know about Zeke. Their offensive line is super talented. Like,
man, Zeke looked pissed after that game. He looked pissed in the middle of that game.
Yeah, because he's like, yo, you can't just hand me the ball and have 9 guys.
They kept showing him pissed off and frustrated, and I was like, yo, we ain't gonna win. We ain't gonna win at this point. And I was just like, man. Now that we lose, I'm like, man, what is he saying right now? What conversations are he having with these people? I love him now. What does he say? Because he was getting frustrated even with Dak. When Dak missed, I forget what the hell exactly, but and Zeke was like, are you serious? You missed that? I don't know. I would love to know what Zeke Elliott's thinking and saying right now. And what he's going to be saying to Jerry Jones, and I'm curious. Because I don't know where the hell he's at contract-wise. I have no clue where he's at.
Next year will be the year.
You can't lose that.
They're not going to lose Zeke.
So
they'll pay him all the money they have to.
Y'all better figure this out. Quickly. Y'all better figure this out.
I think Zeke and Dak are both bought into the Dallas Cowboy way.
Well, if there's any sign that this is going to be how it's going to be, Zeke ain't going to stay.
The flip side of it, defensively, Cowboys didn't seem to get the pressure that they usually get.
Nope.
And that was the
they
difference.
Absolutely nothing. That's why Chris, what's his name, the defensive coordinator, did you see him flipping out?
Yeah.
As you should be. The only guy with a set of balls on that coaching staff, who was probably going to leave, because he's going to get paid to be a head coach.
He's going to be a head coach in Miami, right? Or no, not Miami.
He's in talks, or been in talks. Yeah, so he's going to be out the door. Cool. The only guy that looks like he gives a damn on the coaching staff.
I don't mind him yelling at the players the way he did.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool with it, but everybody praised it up because like the players didn't do anything, and they were like, kids need to learn how to be able to be coached up and blah 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 blah. And
true.
This is how. Well, look, Andy Reid has never once did that. Like that, that's not how you have to do it either. Like, and by the way, none of us have ever been talked to by our bosses like that and didn't retaliate. I'm sorry, but like, trust me, I know Dwight and I know me. I've done it. The boss talked to me like that. I told him. You ain't talking to me like that. I'm not saying that. Look, it's a different environment in the NFL.
Yeah, it's entirely different.
Okay, but
it was fine, and they should have reacted, and they did absolutely nothing.
I'm okay.
He's probably saying, "Would y'all do something?"
I'm okay with them not doing anything or retaliating. I'm just saying that doesn't that's not how it has to be either. Though the other side of it is there's great coaches out there that has never done that. Yeah.
Okay. So.
I just
rather have Dak and Jason Garrett clapping about it like shit. Like it's cool, it's fine.
I thought the clip was just overblown. It's just not.
That's called coaching.
But it's also not necessary. Like I said, Andrew Reid has never once did that, and he's in the AFC Championship for the 5th time he's playing in a championship, or 6th time in a championship game.
Maybe he put some bass in his voice. He go back to a Super Bowl.
Well, but it's the 6th time. But he's 10 times better than that coach. He's 10 times better than that coach will ever be.
And if he puts some bass in his voice, he might go to Super Bowl.
I mean, that's fine. That coach hasn't done a third of what Andrew. Coach will probably never do a third.
Okay.
It would actually almost be a sure bet to do that because Andy Reid has already accomplished so much.
You get so defensive for no reason. Okay, it's fine. Good for Andy Reid.
Not just Andy Reid.
Good for all them coaches. It's fine.
That was my biggest pet peeves with Brian Kelly when he first got to Notre Dame. He used to just scream at those kids like that.
They're children. These are adults. I'm fine with it. And as a professional, I expect you to react. They did nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, they didn't do anything on the football field. I will give you that.
Nothing. They did nothing.
I will give you that.
That's bad.
But like I said, if it really came down to the scheme of Sean McVay, literally had Jared Goff knowing by the way their hands were in the dirt on what side they were leaning on, things like that. I mean, that's
a nerd stat I don't need to know.
Well, of course, but you know me. So I guess you don't really care to have the Sean McVay genius talk then, huh?
No.
All right. Moving on to Sunday then? If you got more to talk about, we're in. I'm in.
Nope. This is where Jared Hood's going to tell me that there's no gap between the Patriots and the Chargers.
Well, no, I said the NFC games. I did not say the AFC games. I did not add the AFC games in there.
Wait, didn't you say no? All these teams, I don't think there's a gap between all these teams this weekend. That's what you said. Go ahead.
Talent-wise, I also think this one was coaching. But there's some talent there, too. I would say the quarterbacks on this one, though.
Oh, God. This one was on Philip Rivers. Knock it off.
I wouldn't say it was on Phillip Rivers. I would just say that if they had a better quarterback, it's a little closer.
Talent gap, huh?
There's the talent. Yeah, that's a good talent gap. We want to talk about Phillip Rivers and Tom Brady.
I want to talk about the teams, of the amount of talent.
And I would say the coaching.
Did the Chargers get put back in their place?
Nah.
Oh,
But
you have to think about it.
I do think that this might have been Phillip Rivers' best opportunity for a long time. See, the thing with the Chargers is
it's the best opportunity to finally shut people up.
I think with the thing with the Chargers is consistently over the last maybe 10 years, they make that one run and then they disappear for 3 or 4 years and then they make that one run.
This was it.
Right. Like, they're not coming back, you don't think? Are they the Jaguars of last year?
I don't know.
Everyone talks about how great their talent was. I'll give you he's a much better quarterback than Blake Bortles.
No. They got a great running back. They got some talent there.
Fournette was just a great running back in Jacksonville last year. Remember that's what I mean. There's a lot of similarities. Best roster. Remember everybody talked about how great Jags roster was last year and how best roster this year for LA.
Remember that when we talk about the Browns next year.
Not the best roster.
Remember that. No, I'm just saying.
No, they're not even as good as last year Jags or this year's Chargers. The Browns next year are not as good as either of those two teams.
I'm glad we established that because the way people are talking. No, I just think that this was like Chargers, Philip Rivers. This is this has to be the opportunity.
Oh, I thought you were saying this is just the Chargers and Philip Rivers. Because I agree with that.
No, this is not that.
That's what it felt like.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and I'm like, aren't y'all tired of losing to them? This was your opportunity to finally beat them. And New England. This was your opportunity.
I told you I didn't see it.
Well, you didn't see it, okay, and all these experts come out, I can't believe, how could you ever pick against, because this team isn't that great. That's why. This is not the greatest Patriots team ever. This is the top 5 Patriots team ever. This is the top 10 Patriots team ever.
No, and
this team isn't that great.
No.
And the Chargers have a great little nucleus of a team.
And most
I thought they could win this. This was the opportunity.
So the 2 reasons I thought that New England was going to win it was 1, New England and Foxborough, not just this year, but overall has been incredibly good. But this year they were really good.
We know.
In Foxborough. They're the bad New England Patriots that we've seen. The struggled New England Patriots, every single one of those games were on the road. Not one of those games happened in New England. So that's why I thought New England was going to win. Number 2 reason I thought New England was going to win, because I knew going into the game that the ways the Chargers beat the Ravens the week before were they played 9 men in the secondary, right? Mm-hmm. So they literally said, Lamar Jackson, you literally need to run to us or pass through our 9 guys. That is the only they didn't care about stopping Baltimore's running backs. They didn't care about all they cared about is making sure Lamar Jackson did not run really far or did not pass at all. And what happened was you could tell on 3rd and longs where Lamar Jackson had the room to run for 6 yards, but he needed 9. He was forced into passing, and he was like 3 of 9 at one point. Didn't complete a pass in literally 3 hours of real time. Like you can't play nine secondary players against Tom Brady. You'll get absolutely destroyed. They'll have 100 yards rushing in the first half with a rookie. Oh wait, they did that anyways. And the Chargers actually only played 7 secondary players. Like, they literally were trying to normally stop New England, and they couldn't.
I can't believe they even... Like, at some point, you got to make that adjustment. Like, stop doing it. It's not working.
Sony Michel had 106 yards in the first half and 2 touchdowns.
Why was it...
A rookie.
Why was it... I don't know. They didn't put the damn camera... Well, they might have. I turned the game off at one point. Why wasn't one of their coaches on the sideline flipping out like Chris, what's his name was from the Cowboys? Like, where was that guy?
Again, talking about getting out coached.
This shit, like,
they got out.
It was like nothing was working. Why are you not switching this? All right, we gotta do something different. This just ain't working. He's going. Brady's doing Brady. We need drastic. We need to do something.
I mean, because it didn't matter if they ran. It didn't matter if they passed. They seemed like they got 8 yards minimum. Every play. It seemed like every single time that they snapped the football in the first half, it was 8 yards.
Yeah.
And how about Gronk wasn't even a receiver? Gronk had 6 great blocks in that game. Gronk was circled for his blocking 6-7 times in that game.
Was that Tony Romo doing that?
I don't know. No.
He gets on my nerves, man.
Was it Romo? You know what? I think it was Romo.
He gets on my nerves, man. God, he gets on my nerves.
Did I tell you he's doing the Super Bowl this year?
I know, and it's gonna irritate me. Just cause, like, I don't even.
I like Romo, the human being. I don't really like him, the analyst.
I can listen to it. I just need him to tone it down just a little bit.
I agree. I don't think he's horrible, but
I don't need you to break every single thing down.
That gets over the top.
Try to predict every single. Oh, they're gonna do this. Oh, they're gonna do this. Oh, they're gonna do this. Oh, what? Shut up.
He's coming.
Stop it. He's you. If you were, I know this would be you if you were calling games. That would be you.
I see everything you said. You're right. You're not wrong.
Down.
Yeah, I don't say it out loud.
You'd probably be where I think he needs to be. Which is
I don't say it out loud.
Bring it down.
You're right. I see what I do. I'm
trying to watch this game. I don't need to hear you predicting plays, Tony Romo. If you're that great at predicting plays, where the fuck is your Super Bowl, Tony?
That's the thing, though. That's what made him so good. Is the inept version, the inept coaching that he had to go around.
Yeah, he sounds like the biggest damn genius when he talks, man. I swear he does. He's the biggest. Yo, he is an expert. God and Tony Romo are the only experts, aren't he?
That's funny. So I mean, I don't
know how I just went on that rant, but yeah, he got on my damn nerves.
It was Tony Romo doing it.
That doesn't surprise me.
By the way, I don't.
He was going to get him, and I was like, "Fuck!" And then they were like, "Oh, we were hosting the Super Bowl." I was like, "I get to listen to this during the Super Bowl."
It's so funny, and that actually puts it. What you just did puts it in the best perspective for me. So everyone that talks to me about this, right? They all say the same thing you just said, and I look at it. I always say, "Yeah, I mean, I don't really like it, but like, it doesn't bother me that much. Like, it bothers me really."
To watch the fucking
but you're not wrong. That's why it doesn't.
I just
want
to watch the fucking.
That's why it doesn't bother me, because I actually do see what he's saying well before he says it, and then he says it, and sometimes he's right, and sometimes he's wrong. Sometimes I'm right, and sometimes I'm wrong. But that's why I don't say it out loud, because I'm not always.
Because then he looks dumb, and I'm like, Tony, that's not at all what happened, bro.
And sometimes I do say it out loud, but most of the time I don't, because it does sound stupid. It even sounds stupid to me when I'm wrong.
It's so old, man. Because he just does it too much. Like, shut up. Just watch. Just, like, not everybody...
And the other part of learning this is, and he would have known this from being the NFL quarterback, and I wouldn't. I'm not an NFL quarterback. But the other part of this is they do try to disguise blitzes. So, like, they will fake blitzing sometimes. Or they will say, like, they will fake that they're not blitzing, and then they will blitz. Like, there is just... Like, it is impossible. It is literally impossible to predict unless you have the headset and know the play call. Right. And the only way you would do that is, if you were on that team.
Look for them to do this. Oh, they're coming. They're going to do that.
Never mind.
No, it definitely did not happen.
Yeah, that safety didn't run anywhere near where you just said he was going to go. You're absolutely right.
Not everybody is watching a national championship game with the play call breakdown like you and Tony Romo do. Like, some of us just want to watch.
I don't even use the announcers. I was just using it for the camera angles so I could see the game going on. Yeah. I was using the different broadcasts for the camera angles. Hey, I don't care what they're saying. I don't listen to those guys. I know what I'm watching. I'm good.
Game. Can I just enjoy and watch the damn game?
Yeah.
If I wanted to predict
I
plays,
wish they did more of that.
If I wanted to call plays, I'd go fucking be a coach.
Dude, if they did the Super Bowl that way, oh my gosh.
That TV shit.
Yeah, if they had it on 4 different channels, and I could have 8 different angles of it,
I hope it never goes to ESPN. Oh. That's exactly
if they ever go to pay-per-view, that's what they're going to have to do.
Why the hell would they go to pay-per-view?
I've never told you my theory. The NFL will be pay-per-view by the time we're 50. All of it. So you'll be able to subscribe just to Cowboys games.
You know what? I don't even want to know because you're going to go into
a
20-minute conversation. Why?
Because look at Netflix. Things like that. So they're gonna go because they are paying Fox, right, at the end of the day. Now, obviously, Fox, CBS, all them end up paying them ridiculous amount of TV money. But guess what they would never have to do? They will never have to split 5% of it, 10% of it with anybody. The NFL can literally have their own streaming service one day, right? Where you could buy just Cowboys games, and I can buy just Eagles games, and you could buy just the Red Zone. Or we could buy a package where we have every single game they're ever going to play that season. You can buy the playoffs as a full package where you get the Super Bowl and all of the playoff games.
Sounds like a nice pipe dream.
I mean, I'm telling you, eventually cable is going. It's like cable is newspapers. Cable is going to go away in 30 years, like newspapers did. 30 years ago, people would have looked at you crazy if you said that. I'm telling you right now, cable is newspapers.
Cable's already going away.
Right, exactly. So cable is newspapers. 30 years from now, they are going to. The NFL will have to figure out a way to catch up. Right. Sports are the only reason cable exists today. Sports are the only reason cable exists today.
Okay, alright.
There's no question about it. The only thing watched on TV anymore is sports. Live sports are the only thing viewed by over 1.2 million viewers ever at one time.
That's why these networks won't allow this to happen.
But it won't be up to the networks. It's going to be up to the leagues. It's all it's going to take is one league to come to this conclusion.
So the NBA, you're saying, is going to be doing this?
Probably, yeah. Honestly, it's going to be like the MLS or the NHL that does it first. And it's going to be the NHL or something like that, that revenues enough market off of it, that where the NFL or the NBA turns and says, why are we paying Fox any percentage of what we get of the big pot when we can literally just pay ourselves? We have our own network already, the NFL network. It's the same, it's all the same broadband stuff or whatever they call it, however they're supposed to get it out to the streamings and all this. But either way, like they're already set up for it just by having their own network today. So.
Okay. Interesting. That'd be nice to stop paying for fucking cable. So.
The biggest thing that they would have to do, it would have to be getting Joe Buck and Jim Nantz. And you know what I mean? Like it would be getting commentators. I think that would be their biggest hurdle because I don't think Joe Buck would be like, yeah, that's sure, I'll just leave Fox because he does the MLB on Fox. He does, you know what I mean? They're not going to get Jim Nantz does the Masters. So like you're not going to like, and you're not going to get CBS to be able to say, oh yeah, you can have Jim Nantz for Sundays. You know what I mean? So like it's I think that would be their biggest hurdle, and I think a lot of backlash would come from people are used to having Jim Nantz or Joe Buck, and you know what I mean. Like I think they would be able to overcome that because I don't care who you put in the booth, we're still watching our football games. We all are, but I think that would be their biggest hurdle is the commentating. Not that they couldn't commentate, not that they couldn't get commentators, that they couldn't get the key ones that they would most likely need to make this be the most successful thing right out the gate. That's a different topic for a whole different day that I didn't think we'd even get into, but I swear we've talked about that.
Nope.
Well, yeah, that's what I think is going to happen one day with football. All sports, I think. I got a fun fact for you about Tom Brady. Sunday marked the 28th playoff win for Tom Brady, right? That he broke a record as the most playoff wins ever for a quarterback. Okay? Got another fun fact about that, though. Peyton Manning has started the second most playoff games in NFL history, okay, behind Tom Brady, right?
Mm.
How many games do you think Peyton Manning has started? 27. Tom Brady has won more playoff games than the next person in the modern era has played playoff games. And technically, if you want to count it in the modern era, then the person tied with him, I forget his name, it's an old guy for most playoff games. You know what I mean? Like, that's how impressive this is.
My stat's better.
I'm ready.
Brady and the Patriots have a better shot, have a more of a guarantee of making the AFC Championship game than LeBron James has of making a free throw.
Oh, yeah. I knew that.
That's pathetic, LeBron.
You're talking about over the last 8 years, though.
That's pathetic. No, they talked about career, though.
Like Patriots as a franchise?
No. The Patriots and Tom Brady have more of a than LeBron James' career free throw percentage.
Yeah, Tom Brady's career percentage in getting to the AFC Championship is over 700.
That's pathetic. That's pathetic.
It's like 77%.
Yeah, LeBron shoots 74, I think they said.
Yeah.
From the free throw. For his career. My stat's better. ass.
Are you ready for my favorite stat?
Hardly.
8th year in a row, Tom Brady and the New England Patriots are in the AFC Championship. That is insane, Dwight. In a league where, like, parity seems to be key. And I mean, 16 teams make the playoffs. And it is 8 in and 8 out every year. Like, there's always a change of 8 of those teams, no matter what. Every year. It is almost consistent. And the Patriots just are never one of the 8 teams in or out. They're just always in.
Yep.
The AFC Championship for the 8th year. That is unprecedented in today's NFL. In the most parallel league where nobody's at an advantage when it comes to salary cap. You can't pay a luxury tax higher than anybody else. Like, there is in the NBA, like, the Warriors are just paying a ridiculous luxury tax every year, right? That's how they're getting away with what they do. They are paying these guys extra. They just have to deal with paying the NBA extra for doing it. That's baseball. It's the same concept, just a lot easier to get away with. The NFL, it's a hard cap. There is no such thing. If you go over it, they will literally just shut you down until you figure it out. Like, your roster, you can't practice the next day, like all that kind of stuff. And franchises don't like any of that kind of stuff, so they just make their 53-man rosters and 73 whatever with the practice squad. Whatever. Point being,
We get it. They're great. We say this every year. We know.
8th year in a row.
We know. They're great. We know.
That's unimaginable.
It's gross.
I don't know if we'll ever see greatness like that in the NFL in our lifetimes again.
I hope not.
I mean, that's insane.
I really hope not. I'm tired of it. It's not. This ain't fun to me anymore. It hasn't been fun for a couple of years. It never really was fun, but
and I mean,
I'm done with it.
I'm done. And I know you always like hate when I say things like I feel bad for people who feel that way, but I genuinely feel bad for you like that because like I love it. I'm all in on history here.
Good for you. And I'm tired of it.
Let's keep this rolling for another 2 or 3 years.
No, go away. I'm tired of seeing the Patriots. I'm just tired of seeing them. I don't hate the Patriots. I don't hate Tom Brady.
No, I get that. I understand. I know exactly. That's what I mean. Like, I fully you were fatigued. And
yeah.
You were.
I'm tired.
There
of
is not an out. You respect. You fully understand. You have bowed down.
I get it. Say that again. No. I'm tired of this shit.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like that's why they keep coming back because you just won't. Right. You just won't admit they're the best in their mind. Like Tom Brady literally said it. We think people.
He can shut up.
Think that we suck.
Yeah, he shut up, Tom Brady. That's what Tom Brady's doing, caring that everybody says that he suck.
I'm surprised he didn't eat the W like Jameis says he walked out. Then you know what I mean? Like he should have just ate the W on the way out.
Like I believe this man watches television with Giselle.
No.
Yeah, so shut up. Like that whole phony ass speech he gave. Like stop it.
I think that he was told.
We're underdogs.
But no.
All that dumb shit. No, fuck off. Tom Brady, stop it. You're a grown ass 40-year-old man. Like you want to worry about what anybody says. Like you shut up at this point. Knock it off. Stop it. Stop it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of them. You feel sorry for me for what? You feel sorry for me? I don't care. I see the greatness. I appreciate it to an extent. I'm also tired of it. Go. You get it. I get it. You first ballot Hall of Fame. I get it. You got more Super Bowls than anybody. I get it. You've been here at 12 straight years. I get it. Cool. Go. Okay, go away now. It's exhausting. Nobody other than you and 3 real Patriots fans that were around before he was existing give a shit about this. And Tony Romo. He probably predicted this was going to happen 12 years ago. It's exhausting.
My thing with players at his level.
I don't even think I would enjoy the Cowboys. Like, I wouldn't, like, at some point, you probably just got to get numb to winning. Like,
we'll talk about the Patriots fan in a second. But I think when you're on the level of Tom Brady, they used to say Michael Jordan was just making up in his head reasons to hate the opponent. Those last 2 or 3 years with the Bulls. Like, he was just...
He was fucking bored, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, where do you think Brady's at? It's the same
He's
concept.
about as bored as I am?
But it's the same concept. He's making up that, it's the same concept.
Okay. You don't need to say it out loud, though.
Back to the Patriots fan. I think the best way to give the example of the fatigue of winning, tickets for the Super Bowl when they played Atlanta the year before, right? And you know how I have no issue talking about how Atlanta's fan base is not that great. So we know they don't have the biggest fan base, right? The Super Bowl tickets were the lowest they were in 25 years, right? Because Patriots fans just didn't care to go anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I just talked about how Atlanta fans don't even show up till like the second quarter, and they usually leave before the end of the game. Like if you ever look at the stands at the Mercedes Dome in the first quarter of one of their games, you see more red seats than not. And if you look in the fourth quarter, you'll see more red seats than not. It's every game. It's just how it goes. There's a lot of traffic. They just I don't understand it myself, but hey, it is what it is. So wasn't expecting them to have a big turnout for their Super Bowl 2 years prior. They did. Last year, the Eagles game versus the Patriots. Eagles, first time they were in it in 13 years. They've never won a Super Bowl. It was the highest priced tickets, which the Super Bowl breaks its own record almost every year. It was the unnormal the year before. You know what I mean? So like the fact that it broke records wasn't just because of the Eagles fans, but the fact that it broke records was because Eagles fans were eager to go to the game, just like Seahawks fans in years prior or Broncos fans. You know what I mean? Like that. So.
These fans, they gotta be exhausted.
Right.
A
The
whole
Patriots
generation of fans have, like, if you want to go to a damn
It's
Super
not
Bowl,
dictated by the Patriots fans is what I was really trying to get at with that ticket thing.
Patriot
That's
fans
because
really
they
want-
are fatigued.
if
Like
Patriots fans want to go to the Super Bowl, they had 12 different times to do it. Like,
I always say, like the Eagles, while it did sound very loud for the Eagles last year in the Super Bowl, and they travel well. Part of it was that the Patriots fans just weren't buying tickets to go to that game because they have been to enough of them.
but
I would be interested to see, because it's in Atlanta this year. So it would have to basically be New Orleans versus New England to have any shot at the fans being a real, LA. I don't see, well, maybe St. Louis. Do you think there's any St. Louis fans that still follow the Rams enough that they go to Atlanta for the Super Bowl?
yeah, they were. Yeah.
Maybe that
probably.
might help a little bit, but I feel like if this was New Orleans, like they have a rabid fan base too. Like,
Sure,
you go there,
you're gonna be right there,
right?
yeah.
They're like
They travel there all the time.
They're known for their right. They've been to it.
I bet they would love to win the Super Bowl in Atlanta.
And Atlanta, exactly. That'd be like winning it in Philadelphia or Dallas for us, yeah, exactly. And
Right.
to hear then, your own fan base, like that would be where you really got to know how New England fans were. If it'd be like last year in the Super Bowl where they just didn't care. Or, New Orleans versus Kansas City, that's how you get the best environment. You talk about fan-wise, New Orleans versus Kansas City would be insane in that parking lot. That's some good tailgating right there.
Kansas City gonna travel?
Yeah. I think for a Super Bowl.
Maybe, yeah.
I think for a Super Bowl. Yeah.
I still think it'll be dominated by the Saints.
I think it'll be dominated by the Saints too because the game's in the South.
They're gonna buy.
But Kansas
That
City's
shit
not
would-
super far from there, but it's further.
No.
It's a little north.
Basically, actually, I really ain't gonna be fair if that happens. The Saints gonna have a home game.
Yes. I agree with that. They're less than 400 miles away. I think.
They really about
500
to have
miles away.
They could have a home game.
600 miles away maximum, where everyone else has got to be 1,000 to 2,000 miles minimum. Where LA's, LA they can't play each other anyway, so they're playing each other this week. Speaking of New Orleans, we're done with the New England.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about their fans and everything. Dwight.
Who that?
The Saints. So like.
That was about the only thing that could make me feel better about us losing was y'all losing. I was like, well, at least I got to hear this shit.
You talk about eating that humble pie. Couldn't say anything Saturday when Dallas lost because still had my game to go. Couldn't say anything Sunday when Phillip Rivers lost because.
Yeah, I will say I was actually impressed. My phone did it. One person texted me, but I wasn't even that crazy. And I was actually surprised. Nobody really.
I think enough people have been humble pied in the last 5 years due to this whole social media and sports thing that people tried to stop trolling like their personal friends anymore.
I had a couple posts on Facebook.
Yeah. That happens.
But it wasn't anything too crazy. One was a Bengals fan. And I was like, I get it. Y'all won a Super Bowl because you lost Marvin Lewis, but stop it. Y'all haven't even been to a Super Bowl, but whatever.
They've been in the Super Bowl.
Or never had any good memories in the Super Bowl, was what I said.
They got destroyed by the Niners.
So, and once I said that, he never. I was
like 41-9.
Well, I was like, losing Marvin Lewis doesn't count, and he didn't respond. And I was like, all right, now we're even. Now that we're done with that. But no, personally, no, I never. I saw a couple like Eagles fans, like really, one in particular. I should show you this man's Facebook. You should add him. You probably have fun. He just went off all for like 3 hours. He was posting shit. No, I'm not exaggerating.
Find the stuff. I don't find Eagles fans who do that to be fun. It annoys me.
And then the next day he was still posting. I was like, that is a whole nother level of hate though. Like I get post one or two. Right. I was like, okay.
Okay, but when my team wins, you see I react that way. I don't react that way when teams lose though.
I was like,
I react just like that.
I hate Philly too. I might post a funny meme and then be done with it, but all night though? I didn't even do it when the Eagles lost. I was like, we just lost. What the hell am I going to do? Yeah. I ain't going to say shit right now. I thought we could win and go to the Super Bowl. Think I'm saying anything because y'all lost? I was like, well, I feel better, but I'm not saying shit.
Started off really well. Then Brandon Brooks got hurt, and that was it. I mean, that was literally it, Dwight. The difference was, I think it was 150 yards on 11 plays. First 11 plays. Brandon Brooks got hurt, I think, on the 13th play.
And then how many other people got hurt?
They had less than 270 yards in the season. Oh, I mean, on the game. Right. That's how bad the rest of the game went.
Mm-hmm. Then everybody got hurt.
Yeah, it was just a rotation of players going down after that. Brooks being the biggest one. Nick Foles looked good super early. That first throw, incredible.
Big picnic showed up then.
And you know what? What was crazy about that was, the thing with Nick over the last couple years, right? That year, that incredible season with Philly. It seemed like every time there was a player with a step on his defender, Nick put it right in the basket. Okay. Then the year after, it seemed like every time there was a player with a step on the defender, he underthrew the guy. Well, the first two touchdowns, he put it right. Well, the first touchdown he put it right in the basket. The next touchdown, two throws he put right in the basket to set up for it. The interception, the first one,
on the throw.
Ridiculously.
Yeah, I saw. I was like, well, okay.
Okay. And I will give Nick the one time.
That's one pass.
The one time this year, that's fine. But the rest of the game, he couldn't have hit the broadside of a barn, as a lot of people like to use that phrase. He struggled after that pick.
He got tired of carrying him, bro.
And that's, yeah, I mean, like I said, Brandon Brooks might have been the difference. It felt like that was the difference. I'll also say, those first 11 plays, 6 runs. The rest of the game, 6 runs. I mean, that's another clear-cut difference. They didn't even try to run the rest of the game. Josh Adams, who was their best rusher until Sproles came back this year, which Sproles didn't come back till week 14. So their best player from like week 6 to week 14, a runner back, did not play since week 14. And it just only seems like only because the roster moved with Sproles coming back. Not really sure why you didn't at least put them, sprinkle them both in then. Like Josh Adams was he was fantastic. And remember in that Cowboys game? He was the only bright spot I felt like walking away from that loss in overtime in Dallas. Was that the offense couldn't do anything, but the one thing they did do, every time they handed Josh Adams the ball, he got 6+ yards. He was the only player that did anything, but he got 6+ yards every time he had the ball. He did not play much after that game, and I don't understand
that. Doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. The Jaguars game, he had a ridiculously great game. Didn't play for like 2 weeks. Played really good for 3 weeks. Didn't play for a week. Played really good, and then didn't play the rest of the season.
That's on y'all.
Yeah, I give Doug a lot of credit. Now, don't get me wrong, I've harped on Doug and Jim Schwartz a lot this year, but I also do give them credit when they deserve credit. But like that's one of the Josh Adams things baffles me. But back to Nick Foles. The rest of the game not so great. Offensive line wasn't all that great. They didn't run, like I said. Defense though. only giving up 20 points. Look, if you were to tell me
they look decent.
they were only going to give up 20, that front seven is legit. Like that is that's clearly the saving grace. Don't get me wrong. The secondary players who are third and fourth string players, played better over the last 6 weeks. Like they really have, clearly. And over the last 2 or 3 weeks, they've played way better than you could have ever imagined. Mm-hmm. And LeBlanc, he picked off Breeze on the first play. They had their moments, but at the end of the day, Michael Thomas, you knew, was going to run 5 or 10 yards, and then he was going to slant inside.
That man went off.
Did you know that? Right? You knew that every time he lined up.
Especially at some point. I mean, I think how many they had 10 completions. I don't know, like the first 10 or whatever completions were only to 2 people.
Yeah.
By the Saints. I was like, y'all might want to cover one of these dudes. Especially at one point they were reliant. What's his name?
Michael Thomas?
Yeah, at one point they were.
Oh, that's all it was.
Heavy reliant. I was like, y'all want to double him? Y'all want to something him?
6 plays in a row. And no,
yeah,
it's Hawkins. It's a guy named Anthony Hawkins, a fifth stringer covering him. I mean, they're driving back in flat zone. Look.
Y'all want to do something about this man? Try to do something about this
man.
As
I just gave him credit for 20 points, I will say the flip side of this is they never once adjusted, and that was my.
I guess him he didn't.
That was my, but not at all, not all season. Dwight, what was my biggest knock on Jim Schwartz this whole season, the defensive coordinator? What happened in the fourth quarter against the Titans? Up 14 points, lost. Against the Carolina, up 17 points, lost. Never adjusted against Dallas's defense. Just played literally the same defense the whole time. 200+ yards to Amari Cooper. That was the death of their defense all season long, that they never adjusted. They just said, well, even though it's not working, we're going to try it again.
So they pulled the Chargers.
But the thing was, they felt like they could look at the scoreboard and say, it's only 20 points, so we're doing all right. But, that's not the case in the sense.
I thought they were going to put up 45. So
right, and I don't disagree, but that's not the case, though. We all saw it. Even you saw the difference, what they had to do to fix that problem, and they never adjusted.
No. That man went off.
And look, don't get me wrong. The offense, I'm pretty sure after those first 2 plays, or after those first 2 series, never had more than 5 plays on a drive. That does not help your defense, especially your secondary, who's running all over the field. Mm. I understand that as well. You can only do so much. But at the end of the day, try something. I'm not saying it works. And they just didn't want to look more silly than they would have already, but this didn't work out. I don't.
Try.
Either way, you look silly. But Nick Foles looked pedestrian after those first 2 drives, which not the way you like to see him go out. Especially because, I will admit, the last drive after the missed field goal, that was the only series they got 5 plays on since the first interception. He did look good. They looked good on that last drive, but too little too late.
Right.
You didn't move the ball at all for 2.5 quarters, and then you want to move the ball. And then on just the most unfortunate...
hilarious thing of all time.
248 passes have been thrown to Alshon Jeffries in his 2 years as an Eagle. He has dropped 6 of them, and that just happened to be the 6th. That sucks.
I laughed.
I feel bad for the guy, but...
I appreciated it so much because I was like, yeah, they might score, and I swear if they win, I'm just going to be so depressed.
And again, as much as I get on Doug, everyone's getting on him for trying to get a playoff there before the 2-minute warning. I thought it was a good idea to try to get a playoff like they did. Everyone thinks that they should have took it to the 2-minute warning, and a lot of people are using the word milk the clock. Okay, 1, you were down 6, so you needed a touchdown, right? So I don't care if you got a touchdown before the 2-minute warning or after 2-minute warning. I understand Drew Brees on the other side. I totally understand that. I understand you haven't stopped Mike Wallace in forever, and I understand they would only need 3 points. I do get all of these things. But at the end of the day, the kicker just missed a 43-yarder, so it's already in his head. So they need to get closer than that, probably, for them to win the game. And the other side of this is you still have to score to win the game. So, milking the clock means nothing if you end up losing 20-14 with the ball in your hands. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They only had 1 timeout. I didn't care. I thought it was a great idea. It was the element of surprise. You got to look at the defense. So if you didn't like the play, you didn't have to run it because you had the 2-minute warning coming in 4 seconds. the crowd's out of it in one of the loudest environments in a big situation for at least one play. You come out of the 2-minute warning, the crowd's back in it. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of factors. I didn't mind the idea of running the play. And oh, by the way, if he catches the ball instead of it going off his pads into the defender's hand, it's 2nd and 5 coming out of the 2-minute warning on like the 20-yard line or 23-yard line. You know what I mean? Like, so no one the next day is like, oh man, why would Doug, even though it worked for 5 yards, why would Doug go for that play before the 2-minute warning? Like, it's just because it was intercepted that no one liked to play.
Of course.
The other one was the 3rd and 1 where they stopped the Saints and Doug declined a holding penalty to make it 3rd and 11. And then the next play they went for it on 4th and 1. They did the fake field goal. The fake punt.
I was very surprised they did that. Little.
So here's the thing.
Little borderline panicky, and I was like, you don't
here's the
need
thing.
to do that.
You were surprised. I was surprised.
You really don't need to do that.
I assume a lot of people were super surprised. The Eagles weren't surprised, and they still didn't stop it. And that's what hurt about that play. The thing that tipped me off wasn't what the Saints did. The thing that tipped me off is I saw Fletcher Cox, Malcolm Jenkins, and Brandon Graham on the field, and I said, the Eagles think the Saints are going for it. I said that out loud. I literally said, the Eagles think the Saints are going for it. And then I saw where the ball got snapped, and I said, oh, that's that Hill guy who does everything for them. And I was like, oh, he has the ball. And then I said, oh, he did go for it, but he's got 3 yards. Because for some reason, the Eagles' defense, they literally called a defense day. They threw a safety as their punt returner. They didn't have the normal punt returner out there. They literally had 3 or 4 defensive linemen and then linebackers and safeties as the rest of their punt team. They did not. They were ready for it. That was their starting defense out there, and they still didn't stop it. That's what hurt. That's what hurt.
That's pretty pathetic. That is pathetic.
They saw it. They knew it was coming, and they still didn't stop it. That's where I was heartbroken on that play.
That's pathetic.
Because everyone and the announcer was saying, "Oh, this is gonna wow, what a surprise!" Like, no, the Eagles weren't surprised, dude. They just got beat on the play. Like they saw. That's what tipped me off. Like I said, is I saw the defensive players, and I was like, wait. And I know the Eagles personnel enough to be like, hold on a second. But nah, they knew it was coming, and they still couldn't stop it. That sucked.
That's funny.
And I kind of felt, after the play I was like, ooh, if the Eagles don't make a stop, like a 3 and out. You know, I wasn't saying turnover. I was saying like a 3 and out.
Mm-hmm. Getting close.
Just touchdown after that. And then 11-minute drive the next time the Saints got the ball, and that was it. Like, literally, that was the entire... That's 2 quarters we're talking about right there in that little time frame. And the Eagles were out of gas. I mean, the defense was just on the field forever then because of it. Look, tip of cap to Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, 2 players that I absolutely love. 2 players that rarely need critiquing. But man, if they would have just fell on the football when they got Drew Brees to fumble that ball instead of trying to pick it up and be heroes, if they would have just fell on the football. That was before the Foles interception. They would have got the ball on the Saints 35 instead of the punt to their own 20. Mm-hmm. It just, I mean, that close to White from playing in a back-to-back NFC Championship game with the backup quarterback. I mean, like, literally that close.
Yeah, but...
Hurts. Feels good to know as much as I'm on the coaching staff, and I think part of the reason I'm on the coaching staff so hard all season is because I know how good they can be. It feels good to know that like they got it together when they had to this season. The season didn't end because of anything other than literally a drop pass. You know what I mean? We could talk about all these. I could talk about all these other things, but like you could break it down to, hey, you catch that pass, maybe there's an opportunity for the season to continue. I will take that after being dead in the water the way that I felt they were after that Dallas game. Winning 6 of 7 the way they did, and the teams they beat. I mean, look, they beat L.A. in L.A., Chicago in Chicago. They beat Houston, a playoff team. They lost. They had an opportunity to beat the Saints in New Orleans. I'm sure I'm missing a game in there somewhere, but like they impressed me. The entire team, but the entire coaches, everybody. It was how they finished out. It was something to be proud of. It just sucks that it ended the way it ended. Hopefully they're back, though. I do think Dallas and the Eagles are the 2 best teams in the East with the brightest future. I mean, you look at the quarterback situations of the other two teams. You look at the coaching situations of the other two teams. Jay Gruden's okay. I don't think that the Giants have a good coach at all. We know about both teams' quarterback situations. You know what I mean? Like, it is the Eagles and Cowboys fighting for it, you would think, for a little while. That's an off-season discussion, though.
Yeah, I mean...
The Saints part of this, I was shocked that they didn't have that energy early, but Drew Brees created his own electricity. Like you said, going to Michael Thomas all those times in a row, he was like, you know what, this is my only power source, and I will use this until they figure out how to stop it, and the Eagles never figured out how to stop it. So...
He finally said, we're not going to lose this game.
That 11...
It was looking funky early on.
That 11-minute drive in the third quarter, I mean, that was as perfect as it gets if you're Drew Brees. You know, how he and Sean Payton put that together, play-by-play.
Just dominate.
And it wasn't more than 3 or 4 yards at a time. You know, it was just, let's get 4 yards. And it was 3rd and 13. All right, we know we can get 15 yards if we're getting in that situation. But we're going to try some things before we get there. The other difference in this game would be the 3rd and 11s plus, okay? The Eagles had the Saints in, I think they said 12 3rd and 11s or more, okay? That's a lot in a game. The Saints got 10 of them, 10 of those 12.
Pretty pathetic.
That's ridiculous.
That's pretty pathetic.
That's beyond ridiculous.
That's beyond pathetic.
And you still only lost by 6 points. Like, it's frustrating.
So you have the crossroads, bro.
Yeah, bro, I got you. We'll tee it up this week. Together.
Rest in peace, Philly.
So thank you, Nick Foles, for everything. Good luck for agency.
Go away.
It was very fun. I'm not going to lie, bro. That was a good time.
You can go away forever.
Yeah, Dwight is not happy with the things you did.
Go make your money, bro.
Yeah, he's going to, go get that cash. We all agree with that. Brandon Graham as well. Good luck in free agency. I'd love to see him come back to the Eagles, but I understand if there's more money out there, go get it.
Rest in peace. It's finally over. It's beautiful. Thank you.
So Dwight.
It took me a fucking year.
Do you agree, real quick, Carson Wentz, Nick Foles, do you agree Wentz future?
Yeah.
Like, the backlash, I mean, it's almost like we're in the minority for saying yes to that question right now, which is ridiculous to me, but it's fine.
Nick Foles did what he did.
He did, don't get me wrong.
So there's an argument to be had.
And I think
Not so far-fetched, I don't think, anymore.
I don't think it's crazy far-fetched, but I also think that there is...
You're also not going to let Carson Wentz sit on the bench, so...
Well, I'll give you that, but I would also say the logistical just understanding of the offensive line was not healthy. He was playing with, all season. Carson Wentz, it sounds like, was playing with a dislocated disc, so I'd like to see how he plays without one next season before I make any judgments on how he's going to be in the future, better or worse. He played this well with a maybe broken back. I'd like to see how he does without one.
He might go from two might go from two quarterbacks to no quarterbacks on.
Well, and I don't disagree with that, and that's why I'm okay. I'm open to the idea of Foles. I'm not saying Wentz is just the only option here. But I look at it as Wentz is younger. Their stats aren't that much different. The defense has played ridiculously better, like number-wise. It's not even close. They literally, against the same Saints team, gave up half the amount of points. That's not Carson Wentz's fault. They only scored 7 more points on offense against the same Saints defense. So the offense didn't look any better against the Saints than they did with Carson there. But the defense looked literally twice as good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? That is exactly what happened this season. Last season, the Eagles looked just as good with Carson Wentz as they did with Nick Foles. They were 13-3. Like, we know how good they were last year. We talked about that. We talked about that after the season. This year, the clear-cut difference was that defense got crushed every time they went on the field. Those last 3 times the last time Carson Wentz played was that Dallas game. 200 plus yards against one receiver. They got absolutely dominated by the Cowboys offense. Like, they couldn't get off the field, the defense. Carson was never on the field in that game. You know what I mean? Moving on to the championship weekend. Everybody, the week leading up to the championship weeks, likes to break down what's the best Super Bowl matchup, or what's the most entertaining one, or whatever. What are you rooting for, whatever, right?
The field versus the Patriots.
Maybe. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. But I personally feel like this might be the best 4 teams matchup-wise that we could have for a Super Bowl in a long time. Like, we usually don't get this. I think we're spoiled with these 2 games. I think that all 4 teams are legitimately good enough to win the championship, and I think all 4 teams could beat the other 3 teams. You know what I mean? We don't usually get that. No one thought the Jaguars were going to win the Super Bowl last year in the AFC, when they got to the AFC Championship.
No.
Right. No one really thought the Vikings or the Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl either, but point being is, like, everyone was convinced on, you know what I mean? And by this point, we're all usually convinced on what it's going to most likely be. It doesn't matter. I think all 4 of these teams are good.
Yep.
And I honestly can legitimately say I don't have any idea who's going to win either of them. Like, I love both matchups, and I'm excited for it. And I like that we ended. Now, this seems to happen a lot. We ended the season with the 4 best teams. I mean, these, by far, all season, there was no question that these were the 4 teams. If you look at it, if you take everything as a whole, these were the 4 best teams. And here we are. So who you got in the first one?
Chiefs.
That's the second one.
Whatever. Chiefs over Patriots.
I would say the team that was closest to the Patriots in Foxborough this year by far was the Kansas City Chiefs.
It ain't Foxborough, bro.
No, this one isn't, but I'm saying last one was, yeah. I know the Patriots haven't been good on the road all season.
So you're just going to contradict everything that you were arguing earlier? Just, well, as long as you admit it.
I don't think the Patriots' run is over. I think the Patriots are going to dominate the AFC East next year, and I think they will find themselves in at least the divisional round next year, if not a potential chance to go to the AFC Championship with a shot at the Super Bowl. But
let's not go next year. Let's not go that far right now. Fuck.
I think there is legitimate issues on the back end of New England, and I think that LA had no way, coaching-wise, of exploiting them the way that Andy Reid is going to, with his staff, be able to do.
Chiefs just look like they have a much better team.
And
I don't care what
I was
the
going to
Patriots
say, talent-wise as well.
I don't care what the Patriots just did last weekend. You ain't doing
Patrick
that against, I
Mahomes
don't think
is
you're
just
doing that
on
against the Chiefs.
Different level. Now, I will say,
Well, he needs to not fold under pressure this weekend.
I will say, if Kansas City's defense plays anything like it did all season, not against Indianapolis, but all regular season, Tom Brady will have a field day on them because it's do or die. That's what he does in do or die games. He takes care of his business, even if in their losses, in their playoff losses. He takes care of his business. So you got to come prepared. But and I'm not saying they won't. I don't know. But it's hard to see the defense having as good as a game as they had against the Colts. But I still think that at the end of the day, even if you get yourself in a shootout and you got to score 40 points, 50 points, who are you taking? You're taking Kansas City. That's where I end up with, is that I do think this game can turn into that. And I'm not saying that Brady isn't the guy.
So who are you picking?
Oh, I'm taking Kansas City.
Okay. I was waiting for that statement.
Definitely taking Kansas City.
Okay.
They impressed me that much this weekend. I thought that this was one of their better games of football all season. And I felt like after the suspension, when they cut Kareem Hunt and then Ware got hurt, I felt like the next 2 weeks everyone was really like down on them.
Yeah,
But I thought they were trying to find their offense, and
they didn't look like the same team.
Right, they did look like the same team, but I feel like this weekend they found their grooves with this offense. I'm not saying that they're still as lethal as that offense was that went to Foxborough that night, but I feel like they know what they have to do at minimum. Now I don't know if they're going to be able to execute it because that's still a Bill Belichick coach team on the other side. But I'm picking the Chiefs. Now, who are you taking?
Chiefs.
So we're both going to look silly.
Nope. I don't think that Patriots team is that great. I've stood by that. I'm going to stick by that.
I think that this is one of the better coaching jobs and better seasons that Tom Brady has had. Like coaching jobs Belichick has ever done and better seasons Tom Brady has ever had. If you realistically look at it on a talent level of the Patriots.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
They had to.
That's like Tom Brady ended up, and I was kind of on him, halfway through the seasons because he had 7 interceptions. He ended up with 11. So he did a lot better. He knocked that down by 3.
Mm.
He ended up putting up a decent amount of yards and got his touchdown numbers up there before the end of the season. So like he wasn't a typical Tom Brady year, but it was still in the top realm type thing. For them to do what they did this year, it was still almost for this to be called the bad Patriots team, and they were a 2 seed in the AFC. They dominated their division. Like, it's pretty impressive Belichick and Brady did this year. Them too, with what was around them. Gronk being like a half shell of himself, he didn't go out for a pass, it seemed like, all game. I think that changes this week, by the way. And that could be an X factor as well, I guess. I think that they're going to get Gronk heavily included in the passing game because they haven't done it all year due to his injuries. What about the NFC Championship?
The only game I want to see.
I think they're both going to be 2 good games. I'm excited for both of them. Don't get me wrong, I think this is like
It's the game I want to see.
probably the better one, but I like them both a lot.
It's the game I want to see.
LA coming back to New Orleans.
I think this is a lot. I think it's a lot more difficult to pick.
Oh yeah, this is absolutely. This is
Chiefs,
just as.
I mean, I don't think Chiefs Patriots are.
I think that's a crazy hard one to pick, but I think this one's just as hard to pick.
I think Rams Saints is.
Last time these two teams played, it came down to the wire, and it came down to the Saints just having a little more offensively. Neither defense really did a whole lot. Marcus Peters, after the game, was told that Sean Payton said that was the matchup we wanted, and he said, I want him to keep talking that talk, just like he was on the field to us. And he talked about getting a bowl of gumbo after the game and all this, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I'm here for all that kind of smack talk in the middle of the season, talking about how when we meet up the next time, a.k.a. in the NFC Championship, and here you are. Like, all that smack talk.
Nothing's going to happen.
No, but I'm here for it. I'm here for all that. I'm here for the little banter.
Ain't nothing going to happen.
Difference of this game and last game, Talib. Talib wasn't playing last time, so Michael Thomas, who went off on them last time, is going to have the hardest cornerback he's going to play maybe all season.
Yeah, you're going to be talking that talk against that.
I don't think Sean Payton will say much about that now.
You ain't going to be talking that talk.
So you want to tell who I picked first?
Sure.
I had just as hard time picking this one. I believe in both teams the way that I believe in the other two ones. And I can make a case just like I was trying to the other way there. I think to me, personally, a Drew Brees, Tom Brady Super Bowl would be amazing and fun, and I predicted it.
Ugh.
But I'm actually going against both of my Super Bowl teams. I'm picking the Rams. And
they just got a better team.
from top to bottom, what they did on Saturday was more impressive than I think I've seen New Orleans do in a little while.
2 weeks, yeah.
Right. And my thing is I pointed it out a couple weeks ago. The reason they signed guys like Des Bryant or who was the other one that they signed? We were talking about he played for Chicago. Brandon Marshall. Remember?
Shit, is he still playing?
Right, that's my point. The reason that they were signing those kind of guys is what did I say those weeks? they don't have much past Mike Wallace because Ted Ginn got hurt. So like after
time out. Where the fuck is Brandon Marshall? I forgot he even went there.
if he got hurt and is on IR with Dez, nobody gave him the support they gave Dez. How about Dez, by the way? Not even gets talked about, but he's still in their locker room. He still walks around one.
Yeah, he was tweeting all last weekend.
Yeah. He was at the game.
Was he?
Yeah.
I need to Google. I'm really curious where Brandon Marshall's been. Is he hurt? I need to know.
I don't know. I honestly have no idea.
I really need to. Go ahead.
But I'm picking the Rams because that was impressive. And don't get me wrong, I think that the Saints have a good coaching staff, but McVay is doing some special stuff out there. He turned golf around from being, a lot of people just thought just only talent, to 10 times more than that. They had 200-yard rushers last week. The Saints didn't stop the Eagles much on 12 rushes. The holes were there. Nick Foles just didn't hit the guys. You know what I mean?
I'm out.
Huh.
That's what just made me choke. Where was I? What is that? Where the fuck?
They got him?
Yeah. Where were you? Where was I?
Well, I don't know.
This December 13th is when this was posted.
They cut Brandon Marshall.
They cut Brandon Marshall.
Wow.
That's where he's been. Chilling with Dez. Alright, well, I'm glad we...
Well, no, Dez wasn't cut.
Well, whatever.
Dez is on
I'm
IR.
saying chilling because they're not doing shit. Okay. Well, that explains that.
But so now you got Marcus Peters going up against whoever is the second guy, and you have Talib going up against Thomas. You know what I mean? So the Eagles made it very clear they got to breeze a lot there early, and they struggled. So the Saints ran the ball and ended up, that's how they got their momentum, was all by their running game. I don't know if you're going to be able to run the ball that well on the Rams, as you just saw. So in that Rams offense, Golf isn't going to miss the shots that Foles was missing in the second and third quarter of the football game last weekend. You know what I mean? They were there. The opportunities were there for the Eagles. All those things we talked about, like the Eagles were right there. The Rams are obviously a significantly better team. They're going to make you pay for that. I just don't think the Rams... I just don't think that the Saints have been playing up to the level that the Rams have been playing over the last couple of weeks, even though I thought that the Saints were playing at a higher level than them. When they... it probably happened somewhere around the Dallas game you could point to for the Saints, but they just haven't been in that offensive zone really since then. They've only had one or two more games over 28 points, you know? So that would be a Kansas City versus Rams Super Bowl.
Yeah, I picked the Rams.
That's also not good news.
I initially picked the Saints just because I think it's more so, well, whatever. I think it was more so just because I want to see Drew Brees in the Super Bowl again, but cause I'd be cool with that. It's not exhausting like some other guy who's 40 and won't go away. But then I was like, the Rams just have so much better team. And I was like, at this point, I can't go against what I said in last summer, which is that they were going to win it because it's very much looking like they might very well win this shit. So I was like, just go with it at this point. So I picked the Rams.
I usually at least have a rooting interest. Like, I just want to see this team win it just because I'm cool with all the four teams. I don't have any animosity against any of them.
I'm cool with anybody but the Patriots.
Yeah, like I said, I'd be even cool with that.
Yeah, other than that, I don't care if the Chiefs win. I really don't care about any of them. Like if they win or lose, I don't care.
I'm excited.
I would root for Drew Brees.
I am excited for an action-packed Sunday. I think it's gonna be a good 2 games. One of my favorite weekends of the year. I don't know. It's one of my favorite Sundays. I feel like everybody's staring at 2 games. It's just, I don't know. It's like
it's better than this.
Twitter gets popping. You know what I mean? Like everything.
It's better than that overhyped divisional round.
I don't mind the divisional round, but the games this week didn't really live up to the par of the divisional round that we usually get. But the divisional round is usually a fun weekend. It wasn't as fun this weekend. I'll give you that. And who knows? We might get 2 blowouts this weekend. couldn't say I see that happening, but
No.
I mean, I will always point back to in football, it's impossible to predict. And we didn't see Nick Foles last year doing what he did. So, Dwight, better luck next year, man.
I'm not gonna say the same.
Hey, I don't mean to rub it in and add to your saltiness, but do you know when the last time the Cowboys won a road playoff game?
I probably don't care either. Why?
27 years ago.
Okay.
I honestly was kind of baffled by that because they have 5 or 6 playoff wins since then. You know what I mean? Like it's not like they haven't won a playoff. Like they won multiple playoff games since then.
I'd be more intrigued what the record was at that point
What?
on the road. How many times were they in that situation? I'm curious.
Well, I think they're 0-4 or 0-3.
No,
it's only a 3-game sample. That's why.
And I would bet all 3 of those have been post Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith era. So
yeah,
there
they
it is.
didn't play one road game in that era.
Whoop, there it is. Like that's okay. That's that's one of those people. It's one of those things where people would probably be like, "Hey, you guys haven't won," and just like, "Oh, that's crazy." Well, what are the actual details of that? And then you say the actual details of that, and you're like, "Well,
But
that's
see,
not,
the other side
that's
of
not
it
a story."
The other side of it is just because everyone talks about how they've been mediocre, 500 or whatever over that time frame, and how they don't make the playoffs a whole lot. The other side of it is I mean,
that's not a story.
Look, the 3 losses are the Seattle one with Romo, the Dez dropped at one, and then the road loss this weekend. Like that's literally your 3 losses.
That's what I'm saying. Right. So that's not a thing to me. That's whatever. Haven't won it. What did you say? 27.
Yeah, it's 27. They haven't won a road playoff game in 27.
Man, those 90s teams weren't on the road, so.
Well, the reason I bring up those.
As far as I know.
No, they weren't.
Okay.
The reason I bring up those 3 games is because put this weekend aside, those 2 other games they could have won. Heck, people do think they should have won the Dez one. You know what I mean? So, and the Romo one, if he puts that ball down, they kick the extra point. Who knows what happens? So,
Yep.
It's gonna be a long off season for both of us.
That's gonna be a long 10 years.
Thank you for watching JD Sports. I'm Jarrett. That's Dwight.
Peace.